It's the show that is feeling good about the two crew. I spoke to Joseph Newgarden this morning.
Okay.
Yeah. He was here on Breakfast Ball. Yeah. He's not worried about finishing or starting in the back of the pack. I said, Joseph, right. Are we in good? Are we in a good spot? He said, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I love that you are not
confident.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the
if
audience,
you that guy, do it.
I think he's that guy. Flip-flops from Wild. So I'm
locked in with Newgarden.
I'm a Polo guy. Even though I did bring with us for our trip to Indy some sick McLaren racing gear that I'm going to wear.
Are you?
Yeah, I am.
I'm going to load up on the merch, too.
Oh, you know who's a McLaren guy? Who? Your guy's guy, O'Ward.
I like O'Ward a lot.
Yeah, but I'm a Polo guy.
Yeah. No, you can't go with O'Ward.
Why not?
I thought you were going to go with, like, the experienced drivers.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I haven't decided yet.
We'll see.
He's just a possibility.
But we're starting with Thunder. Oh, we're going to get Susie.
Yeah, exactly.
Just said. This game went from close at the half to a blowout as OKC outscored the Wolves 70-40 in the second half. SGA had 31, 11 coming from the free throw line. More on that in a second. Brew, here's the second half numbers last
That's
night.
not good.
OKC had 70. They shot 62%. They didn't shoot a ton of threes, but they went 8 for 13, 22 rebounds. Meanwhile, the Wolves just really wanted to jack it up from 3, 5 for 23. They shot 35% overall. So, what was your number one takeaway from the Thunder's performance?
Well, first, let me say this. As the elder statesman on the show, Nick just let me know I'm a baby boomer. I didn't even know.
You didn't know.
He's the
youngest.
I'm the tail end of the baby boomers.
He's the youngest baby of the baby boomers. You're right in the middle of Gen X, and I'm the oldest of the millennials. So we're a three-generational show. I am. I'm born in 84. Millennials started in 83. Doesn't matter. Go ahead.
He's up to the
But Brew's a boomer. How about that?
I'm shocked that I'm a boomer. But anyway, I have sounded the alarm on their youth.
Yeah.
But when you look at this field, I mean, all the teams, this is a different year.
There's not a veteran team.
Right. Like, the Knicks would be the veteran team, but their second best player is new, right? Yeah. He's just there for the first year, Karl Anthony Towns. Brunson isn't old. He's a vet,
McHale's new.
Yeah. So they're a new team. Indiana is only their second year in the playoffs, and their best player is 25 years old, Halliburton. And then Minnesota been to the playoffs 4 years, but their best player is 23, and their second best player, Randall, is new. So it's not going to really hurt them in this Final Four, so to speak. They look great. I mean, obviously the sluggish start, but once they got going, man, that defense was great. And the key was, as I said yesterday, would be the turnovers. Mm-hmm. If Minnesota could avoid turning the ball over, they'd be in good shape. They didn't. They had 19 turnovers. Even in the first half when they were leading, they still had a lot of turnovers. And the difference was they had 19, OKC had 15. But the difference was OKC turned those into points. I think it was 31 points off of turnovers. Minnesota did not turn their turnovers. 15 turnovers they forced or had, and only 10 points from them. So that was a big difference. And look, for Minnesota, they took 51 threes out of like 85 shots, or 83 shots, 51 were threes. But most of them were open. So if you're a Timberwolves fan, you got to be thinking, like you were with the Celtics, these are open shots that they will hit. And they just missed a ton of them. They do have to find a way to get into the paint.
Yes. They also were taking some of those shots because the Thunder defense was so good.
Yes.
It's just easier.
Right.
They walled it off. And, it was Nickeil Alexander-Walker with a bunch of the open ones.
I saw a little too much of him.
Right. Well,
I know McDaniels was in foul trouble.
But I'm saying the guys for Minnesota that were taking the shots are kind of the guys the Thunder wanted to take the shots. So that's credit to them. So listen. I'd love to give just cogent analysis like Brew did.
Yeah.
But that's not the biggest, for me, and I think for America, the biggest takeaway of yesterday. The biggest takeaway of yesterday is the fact that these playoffs, the one through line of these playoffs is physicality.
Yep.
We are going to let Alex Caruso guard Nikola Jokic like he owes him money, and nobody's going to care. We are going to reward teams that try to play defense, and no team takes better advantage of that and deserves more credit for executing that properly than Oklahoma City, who just sends waves of defenders at you, generates these runs, can go from they're trailing by 4 midway through the third to the game's over. And it's not the way we're used to in the last 10 years of basketball when if that happens, it's because a team made 8 of 11 threes. Right. No, it's because they are getting stops. That Dort is putting his body into you. Caruso, J-Dub, all of it. And I love it, and they're the best in the league at it. And you do have to start to say, hey, where does this team rank historically, not all time, but the last 20 years, of the best defenses we've seen?
Yeah, in the last 20 years.
Post Chauncey's Pistons, how does this team stack up as the best defenses? But when the moment they get the ball and Shea is treated like a kid out there on scholarship, and it's like, oh, be nice to him. And Shea, there is one thing to be adept at knowing Jimmy Butler style. You've got your hands in the wrong place, or I can get you off the ground.
A real move.
A real move.
Yeah.
As opposed to what we saw from the opening whistle last night, which was Shea simply saying, I'm going to essentially awkwardly but intentionally fall to the ground and then throw up a shot and be rewarded by it. And I'm going to take it a step further that I haven't heard people make the point, but I think it's the right point. When in the opening minutes of the game, he gets 5 free throw attempts and Jaden gets in foul trouble, it is not then a coincidence that later in the game, he's walking into open 17-footers, which are layups for him because you feel like, sweet Jesus, I better give him room. And he
totally set the tone.
Right, it set the tone. And Coach Mangini always says, do business as business is being done. And if you are Minnesota, you're saying there's a new store manager depending on who has the ball. How do I know how to do business? When these guys are allowed to play great defense, and again, I'm not asking for more foul calls on Oklahoma City. I wasn't against Denver either. But it is in a playoffs that everyone has been officiated by kind of a tough-nosed, old-school physicality. For a guy who doesn't need it and shouldn't need it to be consistently rewarded for just falling is, to me, off-putting.
Yeah, look, early in that game, and a lead early doesn't really mean as much in today's NBA, but still, early in the game when Minnesota was draining threes and getting a big lead, the only thing keeping OKC in it was the fact that they were getting to the foul line. Shea had 7 free throw attempts in the first quarter.
Yes.
It gets, like you said, Gobert picked up 2 quick ones. McDaniels picked up 2 quick ones, who's their best defender. They're 2 best defenders. And that just set a tone. And they bottled Shea up. He didn't shoot a good percentage.
13 to start the game.
And so the foul line did keep them in it. And I'll talk a little bit later about this with how Minnesota should handle it. But they didn't complain, after the game, and that's kind of.
Can I show you, let me get your reaction to this video, though.
From ones I saw.
This is after SGA draws a foul. He's laying here lounging, and I think Ant took offense to the foul drawn and a little bit of SGA's.
This is why.
I don't even think that's that big of a deal. Like I saw somebody say he hurled it at him.
No,
I mean,
no, but to me,
that's frustration because it wasn't really a foul.
And it's SGA. It is someone who is. This is what I meant yesterday, and I correctly, classic one, instantly correct, got killed for the take because I knew I would. When I said I don't enjoy, I'm not rooting for this team, I don't enjoy watching it. It is the almost basking in the glow of referee manipulation and in doing it like, what are you guys going to do? Can't touch me. And can I add real quick 2 other, listen, Harden was awful about this. And it hurt him in the playoffs. It was different. He wasn't falling as much as trying to grab your arm.
His was more blatant, I felt.
I agree. Yeah. But it also didn't feel quite the same because he was never on this super tough defensive team that was then mugging guys on the other end. Here's the other thing that I will say that I think is totally fair. If at the beginning of Game 2 it is officiated like this, if I am Naz Reid, if I am Rudy Gobert, if I am the Minnesota Timberwolves, okay, we're going to get our money's worth then. A hard playoff foul, not dirty, not undercutting. Hard, like if you're going to get to the line without us touching you, then we might as well make you at least feel it a bit. And I think that's the only recourse if the refs don't adjust, in my opinion.
Meanwhile, Anthony Edwards only took 13 shots, only made 5, as Minnesota failed to crack 90 points for the third time this playoffs. True. Ant in Game 1 of his last 4 playoff games, he's 1-3. He's only scoring 20.5 points a game. He's got no games over 25, and he's shooting about 38%. So were you surprised by Ant's performance?
To the point of the graphic, no. Disappointed, yes. Surprised, honestly, no. This is kind of what he does. And I'm not just saying Game 1s. I mean, that showed Game 1s. But the difference between him and Shea, and I think Shea is a better player, is they're both great scorers. They're both great defenders. But Ant is not as consistent.
Correct.
He's not as efficient either, which leads to some of the, inconsistency. But he was a 44% shooter, I think, this year.
Yeah, and
from
great
the field.
from 3.
Great from 3, yeah. So he has games like this. Game 1 against the Warriors, I think it was 9 for 22, and they lost that game when Steph got hurt in the first half. Game 2, he was 6 for 13, I believe, in that game. So he's still, and it's probably because of the youth. He's 23, even though he's been in the league now. This is his 5th year. But he's still up and down. And so some of it is he does settle for too many J's. And yesterday, I get, and he's right, they packed in that paint and there's 2 and 3 defenders anytime he got near the lane. But he had 1 shot at the rim, 1 attempt at the rim. In fact, 1 attempt in the paint.
Yep.
And he shoots half of his shots are threes. That's just for this year. He took 20 shots a game. 10 of them were from 3. But the last 3 games, more than half of his shots have been threes. The last 4, at least half of them have been threes. And with his dynamic athletic ability, I still want him to attack and try to draw fouls, get into the paint, draw some fouls, get them in foul trouble, and open things up for your other shooters.
And put the pressure on the refs.
Yeah, exactly.
When the refs
same thing what you see on the other end.
Getting to the line, they would feel an onus. Like, what was odd to me, I thought Game 1 against the Warriors was just the odd, they're a little rusty. They had 5 days. I thought the Warriors were going to be tired after the 7-game series, and Minnesota was going to be rested. But this wasn't a rust game because they played their best quarter in the first quarter. They're up 4 at halftime.
And he was hot early.
Ant had 13 in the first half. What's really disappointing about this Ant performance is 5 in the third quarter, 0 in the fourth, and you can say, well, it was a blowout. Not immediately. They were down 10 going into the fourth quarter. Like, that is... it's an uphill battle, but if he comes with a flurry, the reason it got out of hand was because he scored nothing and the team did nothing in the fourth.
Can I stop you really?
Yeah.
This is going to sound weird, so let me see if you can.
Did it feel like a 10-point only?
Yeah, no, it was 10, but I was like, this game feels over.
Agreed.
And do you think Ant felt that that?
But it felt over in part because they didn't have enough resistance late in the third when the Thunder were taking control.
There was nothing to tell you that they're going to make a flurry.
Correct. Yes.
But it was there.
It was there. Dante didn't play well, but he hit 2 threes when it looked like, not in a row, but at 2 different times it looked like the Thunder were going to blow him out. It's like, he cut it to 8. He got it down to 10. The reality is everyone other than Julius Randle on the Minnesota Timberwolves played poorly. Every other player. You had Jaden McDaniels got in the foul trouble. He had 5 early points, finished with 7. Gobert got those 2 early fouls. Might as well have gotten 6 early fouls because he did nothing the rest of the night. We did Ant. Conley hit 1 big shot. That was it. And then what killed him is if Naz Reid, who went 1 for 11.
0 for 7 from
Right. Naz Reid, Dante, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker combine to go 7 for 36, you're just going to lose. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so the Thunder are better. It's why I picked them. But everyone on Minnesota is going to watch this game tape other than Julius Randle and be like, that was one of my worst games of the playoffs. Now, that's part of that
threes that they missed.
Yeah, and part of it's the Thunder defense, which they deserve credit for.
Right, but Ant looked a bit confused.
Yes.
He did. And he's admitted at times, I didn't know what to do, but I think he'll get it in the next
Just
one.
like Michael Jordan.
Well, yeah, they need to similarities in style a little.
The storyline's being aggressively pushed on him. Head to the Eastern Conference Finals. Game 1 tonight in the Garden. Knicks are favored by almost 5 tonight and favored in the series. Here's how the last 10 meetings have gone. Nice and even. 5 wins apiece. Points exactly this, well, almost exactly. 115.2 to 115.1.
That's pretty much exact.
Well, I'm for the people on the podcast. Both teams shooting around 50% and around 38% from 3. So, Brew, you have made an official pick here? Yes, you have.
I have not yet.
You have not. I am sorry. You have not made an official pick. You live in the tri-state area. You, of course,
longer than any other place.
Wrote for the New York Times. You were in the press box, but you were also from Indianapolis, Cincinnati, and New Orleans, several places, but also
Iowa. Don't forget Iowa.
And Iowa, of course.
Syracuse
as well. They don't have a team anymore.
Yeah.
So who do you have in this series?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one for a lot of reasons. As you said, geographic ties to both places. So really, I can't lose.
No.
Geographic ties to both teams. The teams are, as the graphic showed, incredibly, this is a pick'em series, really. But because the Knicks have the home court, the Knicks have momentum just from coming off beating the defending champs that no one thought they could beat, probably except the 12 players, 15 players on the team and their coaching staff.
Knicks have the best player?
Knicks do have the best player. I agree with your king of the hill yesterday. They got the best player, Jalen Brunson, and 2 of the 3 best players, Jalen and Cat. And honestly, I think the fact that the Pacers won last year in 7, it's hard. These teams are so evenly matched. I know there's differences this year, but it's hard to see, they're going to win it again. If you go back to the 90s when this was a knockdown, drag-out rivalry, it was every other year. They alternated. Knicks won, Pacers won, Knicks won, Pacers won. And so with that said, I got one word. Naptown! Naptown! I gotta go with the home squad. I mean, I live here, but I was a kid, obviously, in Naptown. This is my favorite place to live as a kid. And I lived in a lot of places.
Great hair. Great barber.
Well, like I said, best afro in America in the 70s.
Certainly in Indiana. Certainly the best afro in Indiana.
The Jackson 5 from Indiana. So, they got a lot of afros there. But, look, this is a close series. And, again, I think there's every reason to pick the Knicks because of the home court. But what I like about Indiana, I think they're just as gritty as the Knicks. Like the Knicks I talked last week about, it's got to be exasperating playing them because they're just going to keep coming. Yeah. And so is Indiana. And Cleveland found that out. Yep. I think, Nick, their tempo, they want to play fast. You said it yesterday. And over 7 games, could that wear down the Knicks who are going to go 7 deep max? And they're going to be picking them up full court a lot of the time. And that can wear you down as well. And then here's the thing, because the Knicks defense, that was looked at as their Achilles heel in the regular season. Now, the offense is great. The defense, the playoffs has been good. Yep. But they played Detroit and Boston, obviously good offensive teams, but those teams are ISO teams. They were in the playoffs, they've been bottom of the league in passes. Yeah. Guess who's first? Indiana. Indiana has passed like 100 more passes a game than those 2 teams, Boston and Detroit. So what that does when you're ISO, that allows a team to sit defensively and be better off. They're going to have to deal with player movement, ball movement, all of that, and that's going to make it tougher on the Knicks defensively. Wow. So I think Indiana's going to pull this out. I had to go with the home.
Do you have a prediction?
Yeah. 6. It's going 6 or 7.
6 or 7.
It's going 6 or 7.
Going into the playoffs, the thing that I was most confident about was that Boston was going to win the East.
Me too.
Right? Yeah, we know. And again, the cloud, understandably, of Tatum's injury reframed how we talked about and kind of how we even remember, even though it just happened that series. I think what the Knicks did to Boston, those first 4 games of that series, and then the annihilation in Game 6, is the most impressive thing anyone's done this postseason. And I think the Knicks are going to beat the Pacers. I feel like Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson's contributions through the playoffs, to where they really do now have 7 guys that Tibbs trusts. Right. 6 is not enough. Ask Denver. Well, Denver's down to basically 3. But I think 7 is enough. And I also think that last year the Knicks could have beaten the Pacers. In that Game 7, Mikal Bridges isn't on the team. Cat's not on the team. The guy they traded for, and Julius Randle, was injured. OG played a couple minutes. I mean, go look at that game. You got 40-some minutes from Deuce. Right. You got huge minutes from Dante. Dante's obviously gone. Jalen got hurt. So I think the Knicks are better. I think the Knicks win.
Do you think this is a must-win? If the Knicks want to win this series, do you think they have to win Game 1?
It would. I think it would be a bad start. But there again, they've bounced back so many times.
Yeah.
That I don't think with either team it don't feel that way. Like we always do.
Yeah.
But
they've been really good on the road.
They've been better on the road.
Yeah, so I don't think it's a must-win.
So have the Pacers been.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.